More now on President Obama's final State of the Union address. I'm joined by the U.S. political strategist George Ajjan, who's in Beirut in Lebanon. Good morning, George. How do you think Obama handled Middle East issues in his speech?
I don't think there were any big surprises. I think he largely reiterated what his policy has been so far, which has been so frustrating to Republicans. And to be honest, Obama's had a difficult time quantifying exactly what he wished to achieve in the Middle East. I mean, he mentions not being the world's policeman, which normally would resonate with a lot of Americans, but his critics will say that his policy comes across as weak and America not projecting its leadership.
George, just to quote Obama, we can't rebuild every nation that falls into crisis. It's the lesson of Iraq, and we should have learned it by now. It may well resonate with Americans, but I would suggest that it would also resonate with people in the Middle East.
Yes, well, you know, those words were actually also spoken by George W. Bush during the campaign of 2000, before he became president, before September 11, before he went and invaded Iraq. So even on the right side of the spectrum, those ideas will resonate. The trouble is that the Middle East is so confused right now, and there's no clear direction that America has set. It's largely left countries to their own devices. And there's a kernel of truth in what Obama is saying, that we can't control everything. We can't determine, as in past decades, who will run each of these countries. And, you know, Obama mentioned in the speech that these are problems that are centuries in the making. To some extent, that's true. But you know, for his critics, and particularly going into the foreign policy debates amongst the candidates for president in 2016, that will be fodder for quite a few attacks.
George, what did you make of Obama's words on ISIS? In the past, he has been criticized for downplaying the threat that the group poses, and he seemed to suggest that again. But the rhetoric he used against the group was extremely strong. What did you make of it?
The bit where he asked Congress to take a vote on it, I don't see that as being particularly strong. You know, he mentioned the airstrikes that have been happening, and he mentioned that, you know, turning this into a World War III type of scenario only adds fuel to the fire and only helps ISIS to recruit. Again, the airstrikes that are happening are not going to stop the phenomenon of ISIS in and of themselves. And boots on the ground are not really, at least in Obama's book of options, bag of options, that's not really even there. So it's still, to me, muddled exactly how to deal with this threat. And of course, Europe has you know, a bigger problem because just of the proximity and immigrants coming in, and you know, some of the things we're seeing in Germany and whatnot. America's somewhat isolated from that, but I still don't see Obama as having a clear solution to that, and I think his critics will seize upon that.
Okay, George, thank you very much. George Ajjan, the U.S. political strategist, joining me from Beirut in Lebanon.